Hi, this is Martin Fitzgerald from London, England. I'm the quizmaster for the Hold Steady at the London Weekenders, and you're listening to the Hoodrat Recap podcast.
With the horses. I think they know exactly what happened. I don't think it needs any explaining. I'm pretty sure I wasn't your first choice. I think I was the last one remaining. I wish we hadn't gone and destroyed it, 'cause I was thinking we could pull another weekender if you still got a little bit of clairvoyance.
We got bored, so we started a podcast about the best bar band in the land, man. This is the Hoodrat Recap, and we are back for your steady stream of the unified scene, of the news and reviews of the band that you love, we love, and we're hearing rumors that they just put on their greatest show ever in UK, so don't get your knickers in a bunch, shall we? In it? Hello, everybody. This is Stage Right Mike on the mic, and I can talk hold steady all night, and when I like to talk hold steady heavy, I throw up the rat signal, and just like that, the Hood Rat Pack has assembled. And hark! That can only mean one thing, hailing out of parts unknown. Well, if you call Queens parts unknown, it's the unified scene's very own King of Queens, Gasper. Gasper, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. But you know what? I've been trying to get people to call me the fifth Beatle.
Why is that, Gasper?
Because I'm part of something timeless and classic.
How's that working out for you?
Kevin's just sitting there holding his head. This is great. It's not working out so good, dude. It's not working out so well at all. People keep calling me Yoko Ono.
You might be the Yoko Ono of this show, that's for sure.
I mean, do I go too far if I say I can only hope you get shot like John Lennon? Like with that one, is that too far?
Too soon.
Because really,
They should have shot Yoko instead.
I mean, is it bad that I wish Mark David Chapman was the other guest on this podcast right now? Because you deserve it after that, Freddie Knuckles.
And that's the sound of our third mic and our producer. Kevin is whenever. Kevin, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. You know what? It's exciting. We've seen a lot come out of the UK in terms of the Weekenders, so it'll be fun. I unfortunately have not been able to stay as on top of it as you guys, as work has been super busy and even was out very late last night, but I'm glad we're getting together to talk about it. And I know we have a couple of really cool guests that got to experience it firsthand, so I'm excited to hear what they have to say about it.
And I was just going to say, you guys, we always, every time we go to a show, we go, that was the best Hold Steady show ever. That was the greatest Hold Steady show ever. But we're really hearing that from this show. Like, have you ever heard it at this much of a fever before?
No, I'm pretty excited for it. And I think it's also a preview for what we're going to see in Minneapolis. But we'll get to all that. We're going to talk to Jonas and Chris. So why don't we just jump into our interview with them?
Let's go.
All right.
All right, we got to send a very special welcome to our guests joining us right now, Jonas and Chris, who both got to spend their weekend with the Hold Steady, which we didn't. None of us made it. So everybody that we've seen has been talking about how this was the best show ever. And as a fan of this band for as long as we've all been, we kind of feel that. So for each of you, why don't we start with Chris and then we'll go to Jonas. Like, what made this one feel that special to you? Why was it, in your opinions, the best? Or maybe it wasn't, but I've just seen everybody kind of saying, like, this was the best show ever. And we've even got some speak pipes that we'll play later where people clearly had the best time ever if they remember it the next morning.
Well, I mean, I could start with especially the Saturday night and Sunday nights. The Friday night show was awesome because it's always awesome. But Saturday night just felt rowdy and special. The Ramones were like the perfect lead-in band. They just came out and melted people's faces off for 30 minutes. They wanted to play their own songs. I think they played one of theirs. It sounded a lot like the Misfits, which I thought was interesting, more so than the Ramones. But just the energy in the crowd that night was unbelievable. And then You go into Sunday, and Separation Sunday is probably, for a lot of us, one of our favorite albums that has ever existed. And then you get 3 songs into it, and you're going, holy shit, they're going to play the entire album front to back right here in one of the most legendary punk clubs in the world, the 100 Club in central London. And you're just like, it just felt special. It felt so complete. And I've seen 4 weekenders now, and 1 full massive nights and 1 half massive nights. And this just felt off the chart special. And I could speak for a lot of American fans that went over. I just think of our climate right now, everything going on politically and everything, that it was such a release just to be kind of away from everything for a week and hang out in London with our European friends and see our favorite band just do special things. I think that's what kind of really brought everything together and made it so special.
Awesome.
What about you, Jonas?
No, I agree with Chris. The Sunday night was, of course, it was special. And the feeling you get of the sheer event that Sep Sunday is being played in full on a Sunday at the 100 Club, I think that energy bled into the audience as well. But I think for me, I didn't think so much about it during the Friday or the Saturday shows, but I thought about it the entire weekender in whole, like, this isn't even so much about the shows anymore. It's about the community getting together, and that energy I felt had just risen year by year, and it felt really special this time around. Just more faces, more people knowing each other, getting together, and I think that bleeds into the energy at the shows too. So that was kind of what made it special for me. Just one step above last year, which was really, really good.
Yeah, totally. And so one of the things about the weekenders that is so different than the massive nights, while we do get a lot of people coming from different places, like I feel like the weekenders are getting people from all over the world. I mean, Chris, I know I've been at a number of shows with you. Jonas, I was at the weekenders last year with you, but like you guys are getting people from literally all over the place. Like you don't see that as much in New York. You do see some people traveling, but it's definitely more. It's almost New York. We're a little more the minority in England, obviously, but that it really shows how big that community is. It reaches like every corner of the world.
I think you're totally right about that. Now it's been almost 6 years, 5-6 years since I went to a Holstein show outside of London, and that was Massive Nights in 2019. So I guess maybe the scene has evolved a little bit as well, but I didn't get that same sense of communal happening being in New York. It wasn't designated meetups. It wasn't that kind of vibe. And maybe I just wasn't that into it, or maybe the locals met up somewhere I didn't meet up. But London just feels really special, and it's been like that from almost like day one. But of course, it's grown a lot the past few years, especially after COVID.
Yeah. And like it's kind of taken on a life of its own because so Jonas had his own event this year at the Weekenders unofficially. He did his own pub quiz, which was pretty cool. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it kind of feels weird to put yourself in the center of this already really tight schedule that the Weekender is. You have these walking tours and the official pub quiz and everything, but I just figured I have so much trivia in my mind, so much knowledge about the whole study, so I might as well combine it with something else I really like, which is attending and making quizzes. And I assume that if I like this a lot, probably some of the other people like it a lot too. So it was kind of a fun thing to do, but also not to get too, I don't know, philosophical about it, but also giving something back to the community, which I have gotten so much from, coming on from Norway, being in England, meeting all these amazing people, just to create something purely fan-made and make it a clean fan-made event. It felt right in a way, and it was a lot of fun.
And Chris, you went to the pub quiz that Jonas did.
I did not go to the pub quiz that he did because I was up watching my sad football team, Watford, lose to frickin' Millwall, unfortunately. 2 second-half goals. But I heard it was a great time, and I wish I could have been there for that. That would have been a blast.
Oh, and then we got a review by Nick, AICTH, I'll say H or Aki. He said on social media, he said, "We are so lucky to have this man in our midst, Jonas," and we have to have Jonas pronounce his last name yet, That quiz was fucking wonderful, and we fucking love you. Perfect balance between pretty easy and nonsensically difficult, even if we did come in second to last. Same again next year, please. Heart emoji. So that's pretty high words there.
That's a lot of praise from the guy who came in second to last.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be almost the worst team in the pub quiz, but you won it again, then you know that really you did a great job. So that's something to say for the quiz you put together.
I should say right back at to Nick. He is a great guy who's always so friendly and nice to be around, and he does a lot for the Weekender. I went over the answers, and I think it wasn't that hard. I tried to tell it in advance. I think there was like 75 points available, and the number one team got 57, I think. And the last team, the team who finished at sixth place, got 40. So it couldn't have been not impossible.
All right, it was pretty close. The way you made it sound when you're second to last, you kind of think he got 3, and then everybody else was way better. So I'm glad they at least showed up.
And then Jonas, so like how long does it take you to get there from Norway? And then like how many Norwegians make? Are you like the Norway Hold Steady fan, or are there others amongst you?
There are some Norwegians coming over, and I know there's been some people in the past few years who doesn't go anymore, but there were at least 4 or 5 people coming over from Norway, and it's not
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I usually travel along with somebody. It differs from year to year. Sometimes I go with my partner, sometimes I go with friends. This year I went alone. Last year I met a perfect guy called Patrick, who I had never met before, but we have common friends here in Norway, and she hooked us up, so now we stay together. And there's also other people I know from Norway, and it's not that long. It's a 2-hour flight, so it's
nice.
pretty close.
Cool.
So Chris, it sounds like you pretty much went to all the shows. Did you go to all the events? And like kind of these events are taking on just new. They keep getting better and better. With like, did any of them impress you more than the others, or anything seem fresh and new to you?
Yeah, well, I'd never been to the pub quiz before, so I didn't make it to the guitar workshop or the rock and roll walking tours because I was also watching some football matches while I was there. But the pub quiz I didn't know what to expect. I was honestly a little nervous about it because I had heard how very intense and competitive Craig was at these things. So we were on Team Bobby. Jonas and I were sitting next to each other basically, and it was so much fun just having the collaboration between people trying to figure out all these answers. And Martin did an unbelievable job hosting this thing, and Jonas did an unbelievable job of being a trooper, taking lots of bullets from Martin for hosting his own rogue
Wow.
pub quiz.
Was Martin throwing some shade that there was a competing pub quiz? Did Martin go to your pub quiz, Jonas?
No, he didn't come, but he approached me on Saturday night at the Electric Ballroom and said that he had added a last question to his quiz, and it was, who hosts the second best hosted quiz in London this weekend?
That's great.
I had a great chat with him at Quinn's after the shows as well, and he's an amazing guy, and he makes so tough quizzes, so it was a lot of fun.
So who won the pub quiz?
I was going to say,
Before we
Chris,
get off
you were on Bobby's team, so you guys, it was another situation where Bobby's team and Galen's team had a tie, and then there was a tiebreaker question, and it was Galen's team won this time, or Bobby's team won this time?
It was Galen's team that won this time. I'll be honest with you, I'd never even heard of the fall. So when they said it, I was completely out of the question. Whatever the tiebreaker was, how many people were in that conglomerate or band or whatever it was. So, but it was.
So what
it
was
was a
the
lot
question?
of fun. Something about how many people at its peak were in the fall.
I think it was the total number of members who have ever been in Mark E. Smith's band, The Fall, and they are famously for. Mark E. Smith was famous for kicking out people of the band, like
It's like a Spinal Tap thing, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we said 26 maybe, and I had a feeling that was a little too low. I think the answer was like 55. So.
Yeah, it was.
Jesus.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
I would have never been of any help on that question because I don't
And
even
leave
know
it
who
to
the Fall
Martin
are.
to pull that question out because he would be the only one that's like, I got this question ready.
I mean, having hosted some pub quizzes in the past, having the tiebreaker questions readily available, it's like you have to think about like 4 or 5 of them that are like that are like closest to a number, something like that. So
Right.
It was a blast, though. It was it was so fun to just kind of hang out with everybody in that sort of really casual environment. Just drink some beers, get ready for the show, meet some new friends. We had Oscar on our team from Sweden, a couple of his friends as well, and Ken from Inverness, and Allison from Cleveland, and just a lot of really, really cool people on the team. It was fun to do that.
Awesome. So now, how many weekends is this for you, Chris?
This was my fourth one, and
okay.
It's just kind of funny the way it worked out, because I went on my own in 2022, and I basically knew nobody in the official unified scene or whatever, other than my friends who got me into the band over here. So I remember going to the Black Cart, reading it on the pro boards, figuring out that's where people were going to go on the Friday night. And everybody just kind of immediately were like, "Oh, you look like a Hold Steady fan." We're all over here drinking. And by the end of the weekend, I had so many new friends, and it's just multiplied from there. There's something about the London trip, as you were talking about, just the meeting people from, our little group we've got Norway, we've got the Netherlands, we've got Portugal, we've got Scotland, England, the US. I mean, just so many different people represented. It's such a blast, and it's such a treat to be over there.
Yeah. And Jonas, this is like your hometown show, basically, right? For lack of a better term. So how many weekenders has this been for you?
This was my seventh. I've been to all of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I've just missed 2 shows now. I missed the Sunday in 2018, the first edition, because I booked my plane tickets, and the same thing happened with the Thursday show this year. I already booked my plane tickets and my hotel, so Thursday I couldn't make it. But I've been to all 7 of them, and it's been increasingly fun.
Cool. Now, the Thursday show was the Storyteller show?
That is correct. Yep.
Okay. And Chris, you were at that one?
I was, and what a treat that was. I was so different. We're sitting with Dallas and Davey, and we were like, we've never sat for a Hold Steady show. This is really kind of strange. And then they played one of the songs I've never heard before, A Slight Discomfort, to start everything. And I never thought I was ever going to get that song, but it was a perfect spot to play it in a show like that. And it was just a neat set. It was, Franz brought the accordion out. Bobby was out there drumming in a full suit, and it was a neat and different way to kind of engage with some of those songs that you've heard on a very loud level before,
and
versus hearing them in something like that.
So were they sitting down also again, Chris, like they did at the others?
No, they weren't.
Were standing?
I don't think so, if I can remember correctly. Yeah, they were standing, but it was definitely a lighter vibe than most of their shows. And
what did you think of the
really kind of a fun way to?
It seems like they're closing these. It looked like they closed it again with Charlemagne and Sweatpants, and I think this is the best version of that song. But I don't want to say your opinion. What did you think about it, though?
It's funny because I had actually never seen Charlemagne live until Brooklyn last year.
Wow.
Somehow I had missed that all the way through, and they've been just playing this sort of jazzy version of it since then. And it was great to now see it 4 times, because they played at the sound check as well. So I saw it 3 times this weekend, or last weekend, I guess it was. It's neat. It's a fun, again, a fun, different way to interpret a 20-year-old song.
Right. And for those who haven't been to the Storyteller shows, these are like the loungier versions of the Hold Steady shows.
Would you say yacht rock version?
Yeah, it was definitely.
Ooh, throwback. I like where this is going. It's callback.
I know Gasper loves yacht rock. I do remember that.
Oh yeah, big fan.
Yeah, I mean, but they're playing. They're playing Perdido and Sweet Part of the City and things like that. The light version of Multitude of Casualties was interesting, because that's usually a pretty heavy song. But it was a lot of good stuff out there.
And so what goes along with these songs are the stories. Are there any particular stories that you could recall that would stand out?
Well, I think they were talking about You Tremble, especially off of Stay Positive, and the fact that they hadn't really completed the song. And
right.
it finally came full circle. And that was the one that kind of stuck out to me.
Awesome. Yeah, that's one I've never heard, because they've never played it before. And that's become the thing now, is to find your next white whale. We talked about that an episode or so back. So do you guys have a particular white whale that you're holding out for now, or have you satiated that already?
No, I think just anything I haven't heard before is a real treat. And for me, as for many else, also back in Brooklyn in December, $40 was one of those white whales. So it was really fun to hear that during the Electric Ballroom sets. But I would have loved to have been at that Storyteller show. I think one of the reasons I keep coming back to Hold Steady, of course, is the familiarity to scream along to Stations and Hoodrat. But by now, I think anything new, anything that shakes it up, is really, really interesting. So I would have loved to see that Storyteller show. I think I would have joined it.
I think my real white whale that's left is, and I've said this before, it's Bird Watchers. I feel like that would be such a fun song live with the horn steady. Just the way that they kicks into it, the guitars I think really ramp up at the end of the song. I mean, I get why they don't play the back end of Price of Progress all that much at shows, but that one to me, I know what would take a lot of work because there's a decent amount of different sounds in that with, like, the little bird sounds and things that they put together. But that would be a fun one live. But you know what? Maybe they'll play it for us at some point where we least expect it. Who knows?
Yeah,
like $40.
I was gonna say, I know you got $40, which we got in December, and it was exciting to see them play it again. But did they call it 40 quid? Because I saw some people reference it on the posting group as 40 quid, and I was like, that's not what that song is called. So I was just curious, did Craig say it from the stage, or did an overzealous Brit just kind of adapt it on their own?
No, Craig said it from the stage, jokingly.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Then I'll let that one go, because I was very upset when I saw that at first. I'm like, you can't steal our currency. That's our.
He changed the lyrics to it at one point, I think. He said one line is 40 quid, I believe, but I could be wrong.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. So he sang it that way. All right. Then they get a pass.
Did they do a build up to it the way they did here? So here it was Peter's birthday from the Hornsteady, New York, and so they presented him with an envelope as the gift, and the gift had two 20s in it. Did they do something similar, or did they just kind of go into the song?
No, this one I think they just kind of went into it, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Cool. And the reaction to that, I'm sure, was huge. I mean, it's still they've only ever played it one time before, to my knowledge. So.
Yeah, and it was stuck perfectly in the middle of the show with the horn steady, and it was right on point.
Awesome. So this might be a good point to jump into. Jonas is very famous on the Facebook group for having a spreadsheet, which he was kind enough to share with us, so we can kind of look along as we talk about this. And so, Kev, why don't you put that up? All right. So just to describe what we're looking at, if you haven't seen it, this is like an Excel-style spreadsheet, color-coded. And Jonas, why don't you just give us an overview of what this is?
Yeah, it's just a list of every Hold Steady song, and it's I've color-coded it if I've seen the song or if I've not seen the song live at the concert. And also put the numbers of each, of how many times I've seen each song at the right end of it. So it's just a way to keep track of which songs I've heard live, just because I think it's a little bit of fun to to get the overview, and also to keep track of which songs I haven't heard, because sometimes after a few years that can get a little bit of a blur. You listen to these bootlegs, go to sound checks, but these are a list of the songs I have and haven't heard in a live proper show.
Okay, and this is unique to you, not to what they've played, like Setlist would do. It's basically just what you.
This is just what I've heard, yeah. But I've consulted Setlist FM, and I think at least for the weekender shows, they're pretty spot on every time. There's one setlist from back in 2010 which I have trouble finding in full. So maybe there's a couple of songs that should be on this list, which I can't remember from 15 years back.
So just looking over it, a slight discomfort is still evading you, but that's one that Chris got at the Storyteller show, it looks like.
Yeah, I think that they could have played it on that Amsterdam show I saw in 2010, but I can't recall, so I can't make it deep orange in the sheet.
Same as Perdido, right? Because Perdido they played during the Storytellers, but they didn't play it during any of the full Electric
That's right,
sets?
yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at a few of them that you've missed. I know they've played at massive nights, like Stove and the Toaster is one we used to get fairly frequently.
Yep.
Back when that record came out, but we don't get it as much anymore.
Yeah, I think you're getting a little bit spoiled at Massive Nights because there are 4 nights, so there's 25 more spots.
Yeah,
and I also have this. Maybe it's just a feeling, but I think they do play a few slightly deeper cuts at Massive Nights than they do at the Weekender. So. I remember last time going to Massive Nights in 2019, I got Ascension Blues and Arms and Hearts and Criminal Fingers, which is pretty rare. Those kind of songs rarely pop up in London.
You also have one that's one of Mike's White Whales. Runner's High is one you haven't heard yet.
Yep.
I went to a couple of shows on the T-Dreams tour, and I heard Big Sig and Wait a While and the Ambassador a couple of times, but I don't think they played Runner's High on any of those shows.
This is pretty cool.
That's
though.
cool. Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm going to guess after the sound check in Brooklyn that we made.
Yeah, they didn't play it. They played the whole album and they didn't play it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of the reworked version where they put record and tapes and saddle shoes in, right?
Yep. Yep.
Right.
Those are two great songs. I would prefer them over Runner's High, actually.
This is a heck of an undertaking, though. This is it's impressive, I have to say.
I think doing a spreadsheet like this after going to a Sweaty Rock show is kind of the thing that made me fall in love with Hofstede in the first place. The duality between being able to lose your shit at a rock show and then go back to sit with your spreadsheets, analyze lyrics, talk to fans online. It's just the best of both worlds for me, that I can do both and do both within the same band in a way. That's a really big thing to me.
One that stands out is Chill Out Tent you've gotten one time, and I feel like they do that one more often, but maybe not so much anymore.
Yeah, maybe I need to go back and check. I remember vividly hearing it in Brooklyn in 2017, or was it 19? One of the years in Brooklyn, but I don't think they played it in London. The first time they did London was in 2018, so they were kind of on the tail of that 10-year anniversary Boys and Girls thing. So I don't think they pulled it out in London.
So, Jonas, does this mean you've seen the Hold Steady 36 times? Because that's the highest number I've seen with Stuck Between Stations.
Yes, that should be correct. I think they have played Stuck Between Stations every time I've seen them. So I've seen them 36 times. That's right.
Wow.
So unless there's a show they played it twice, which I don't think they do, like Limp Bizkit, then you're okay. So that means you've been to 36 concerts.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they haven't played it twice.
Wow. I think we're almost tied, Jonas. I'm at like 36 or 37. I got to go back and count, but I know Minneapolis is going to put me over 40. So, you know.
Well, this is pretty cool, and it's something I look forward to in the group all the time. So it's fun to look at and keep this up, man. That's pretty cool. I do like that.
Chris, do you have a count of how many times you've seen the Hold Steady without an Excel sheet? Because I don't remember how many times I've seen them, but 36, I know I'm not near 36.
I am now at 24 plus 2 sound checks, and Dallas and I have this discussion all the time about, does the sound check actually count as a show? It is a separate playlist. It is a set. Yeah,
I think it's a show.
24.
I'm counting them. Yeah,
yeah. And I've yet to see Chill Out because most of the shows I've seen have been since the 2022 weekend.
I think they're doing it with guest singers now. I think that's what we're getting crossed up. I think he likes to have a special guest singer to help him do Chill Out Tent. So that's probably why we're getting less of that.
Most of the stuff I haven't seen is, and I've heard explanations like epaulets. I've heard the key changes. It's really difficult for that song. And there's just a bunch of stuff like, I'd like to hear Traditional Village or both Crosses I've never seen. I didn't realize I hadn't seen Same Kooks until Brooklyn this past year. And I was like, man, I don't think I've seen that one. Or Hostel, Massachusetts. That was the first time I'd seen him, was in the Saturday night in Brooklyn. So it's always cool to come back and go, man, I got 3 or 4 new songs after seeing this band for, 24 times now.
Yeah, and like you said, they seem to, ignore the second half of The Price of Progress, because I'm waiting personally for like Fly Over Halftime, which I know they've played, but I've just not been at a show where they've played it. So that's kind of the one I still get to hold.
Yeah, I bought a yellow Pellenty flag and put it in my back pocket, and I never get to throw it because I never play that song. So
he's just trying to start a new audience.
Jonas has no idea what I'm talking about. But that's all right. And then Jonas, before we leave today, you have to say your full name, your first name, your last name, because we're not going to attempt it.
I will. It's if I say it in Norwegian, it's Jonas Spildrivre. So if I should anglicize it would be Jonas Spildrejorde, maybe.
Common spelling. He's got a couple of oopulents.
So highlights for the weekend, what would you say that the highlights were? We'll start with Chris.
Obviously Separation Sunday all the way through on Sunday night at the 100 Club it's got to be up there. And the way that show ended, it was really cool because there's these pillars at at the 100 Club that kind of separate things. So a lot of us that didn't want to mosh for the entire show, some of us may be older now and can't do it 4 nights in a row like that. And then there was the people on the left that were just jamming the entire night and going crazy. And I really felt like the band felt that vibe. Like Steve crowd surfed at the end of it and then started like pulling himself up on a pipe to get himself out of it and everything. And I asked him after the show, I was like, man, that wasn't planned, was it? He's like, nah, man, the vibe was just off the charts in that room that night. So the Sunday night was possibly, I keep thinking about it, I'm still buzzing off it a week later. Like, it was one of the best rock shows I've ever seen in my life. And yeah, that was a huge highlight for me. But and then just the whole community aspect, getting to get with these people for 4 days and have so much fun celebrating this band, celebrating the music. And I think I read it somewhere in the Facebook group where somebody had talked to the manager of the 100 Club, and he said he didn't, in his 27 years of running that place, had never seen a relationship between a band and its fans the way that the Hold Steady and our guys were. You know, and Craig had said it during the middle of the show. He was like, you know, he recognizes and really appreciates the fact that people go to all this length to come over for this weekend and see this band. It was, I definitely felt that for sure.
Awesome. Jonas, how about you? Highlights for the weekend?
Well, music-wise, it was $40, I guess. The entire Sep Sunday experience, which Chris describes really good. Hearing 212 Margarita was a big deal to me. But I think what stands out the most was I had a moment standing outside of Electric Ballroom after, I can't remember, it was Friday or Saturday, and just seeing all the people leaving Electric Ballroom, so many of them so happy, and just knowing so many of those people, not like 5 or 10, but 20, 30 people that I've met all over these weekenders, drank beer with, sang along with, and just realizing that these people now are my friends, and they're friends in a very special way because we come together over this thing that feels so special. And I think those small moments when I realized that, and also getting back and log on Instagram and see that Tad had made a post about landing on JFK with tears in his eyes, saying it's hard to believe this is my life, with a heart emoji. I just think it sums it all up, and it's easy to be a little sobby about it and a little philosophical about it, but that's what stands out the most for me, really. It's just a beautiful thing to be allowed to be a part of.
All right, so I have one more question for you both, because this is my personal fear, and I've talked about it on the show, and we've had people that have been at the Weekenders that have told us it's so crowded that people get stuck in the doorway and the vestibule and like the hallway to the lobby. So for you both, where did you end up in the crowd during the show to watch the Weekenders on whatever given night? Because me in the crowd, I'd be in the back, but like, were you, Tad, Craig, where did you guys find yourself posting up with this many people in these small spaces?
Well, I'll say, like, on Friday night especially, I try to go up towards the front on Friday night and really experience kind of just the kind of, it's a polite mosh pit. I'll put it this way. We're all older at this point. Nobody's getting thrown to the ground, that sort of thing. There was one guy crowd surfing, which was just strange. We didn't expect that, but that happened. But and then Saturday I'll hang back a little bit. And then Sunday I ended up on the right side of the pillar, basically right in front of Craig, which made it hard to see Franz and Steve and everybody else on that side. You had to kind of peek over, but that's kind of my plan. I can't do all 3 nights just blowing my knees up and things like that. So
I was right at the front both Friday and Saturday. I used to split the weekends between one night in the pit and one night on the balcony, and then I just gave that up a couple of years ago and just go straight to the pit at the Electric Ballroom, because it is so crowded also way back, so it's almost better to stand up front. On Sunday, I stayed a little bit behind because I was so tired. And I just figured the 100th Club is such a weird space. It's rectangular in a way, so you can see quite good from the sides as well. Then I stayed a little bit behind, and I think that was the right decision for the Sunday. But the pit at the Electric Ballroom shows is something special and something I really like and love. And it's sort of like a workout, but it's a lot of fun too.
Yeah. So our friend Little Rock Lizzie was there this weekend, and she had a shirt which touches on the discussion between which side to be on for the show. There's the Tad side, Rad side, and then she dubbed Steve's side a leave side. Did you find yourself on one side or the other, or did you go like Mike, center with in front of Craig?
I was kind of tad side for maybe the first time ever on Saturday, just because that's where the crowd moved. But I generally try to stay right in the center, in front of Craig. And if I have to choose, it's usually the France side. But also because the entry to the Electric Ballroom is on the far back right side, so it feels a little less crowded on the far left side, where France stands. When you look up at the stage.
Yeah, I end up on the Tad side more than I end up getting shoved towards the to the left side on Friday night, but that was fine. It was great. It was a good vibe. We definitely we need something better than Steve's side or Leaf's side. He's
I'm Galen side, Whalen side. I don't. Maybe that's not any better though. I don't know.
I like that. See, that's perfect.
Is that better? I'm not really sure.
Steve was a little bummed with the Leaf moniker.
I'm just jealous too that Brooklyn Bowl doesn't have a balcony, because that's where I want to be. I want to be the front row of the balcony, out of the way, free to breathe, not a lot of sweat.
You have the bowling lanes though.
We do. I've never actually stood in the bowling lanes. I've never gotten the bowling lane at Brooklyn Bowl. Maybe this coming year we'll
So actually, they changed since Live Nation took over that club. They've monetized that area, so you don't have to get a bowling lane anymore. It's $20 to go stand up there.
Much cheaper than it was when we did it, Casper.
Yeah. Yes, it was. That was an expensive night, but it was fun. I had brought my son that night, so it was kind of cool to have him up there and have a spot. But it's way more crowded up there now than it used to be, because they're selling that area. But are you guys going to Minneapolis?
No, I'm not. It's just a little too far away and a little bit too expensive. It was expensive already, and now we have a currency issue in Norway, which makes the dollar even more expensive. So I never really thought about it. It's just a little too far away to go away for family reasons, but also economic reasons. I would love to be there, but maybe some other time.
I'm kind of the same way. I have a work commitment that's going to take me away. I have to be someplace in Virginia on Sunday morning. So if I can't do all 4 shows, I kind of don't want to do just sitting in there on Thursday and Friday. So, but then playing Separation Sunday all the way through kind of eased a little bit of the FOMO. I'm still going to have FOMO because I just love hanging out with everybody and hearing the music. But definitely looking at Massive Nights and maybe LA. We'll see if that works with my work schedule. It's been quite a long time since I've been out to Los Angeles. It would be kind of cool to go see them there.
Awesome. Well, we'll be looking for you at Massive Nights. Jonas, will you be joining us at Massive Nights this year?
I've been thinking about going back to Massive Nights, but again, I think it's a little bit too expensive, and I've sort of done it twice. And I think Minneapolis would have been perfect, because I always thought that if I'm going back to the US to see Hold Steady there, I would like to go to a different city to experience a different thing. But never say never. Maybe sometime in the future. For now, London is the yearly celebration, and I think it will stay that way for quite some time.
I'm going to start working on Heather to join you guys in London next year, and hopefully I'll be there. And maybe we could bring Kevin and Mike this year. I know Mike wants to go. Kevin, I might have to drag.
I like. You make it sound like I don't like the UK. I'm a big fan of the UK. I'll be there in July. It's tough in March. Yeah. March is not the best time of year for me to be there working. But it could happen.
All right. Weekender 2026. That's the goal.
We'd love to see you there, guys.
It would be fun. You know what? I would love to go just to see it, because from what everybody says, just the vibe of those shows in a different room. Because look, I like Brooklyn Bowl's a fine venue, but I would like to see the band in another room, just because that room is. It is what it is. We're spoiled because we get 4 nights, and I think we're spoiled because we see it so much. But I always like seeing them in other places. That's not a glorified bowling alley.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Put that club right on blast.
All right. Well,
awesome.
Thank you guys for joining us. This was awesome. And again, we got Chris. You're calling from
Richmond, Virginia.
Jonas from
the suburbs of Oslo, Norway.
And thanks for doing it so late, Jonas, because I know it's like almost 11 o'clock your time. Although this week is good because we have it's not actually 6 hours, it's 5 hour time.
I figured that out.
So we spared you the hour because of the time delay.
I'm thankful.
All right, well, thank you very much, guys.
In the end, only the girls know the whole truth. In the end, I bet no one learns the lesson.
I'm here, Commissioner Gordon.
I'm glad you're here, Batman. There's great trouble afoot in Gotham tonight. It appears the Joker is trying to confuse people in movie theaters all over the city. The movie is telling one story, but the audience is skeptical and believe that there's another hidden story in there somewhere. Can you help?
I could help, but this sounds like a job better suited for the Canadian movie crew. They do the Or Is It podcast, where they watch movies and find out the real story behind the story. In this case only, they are the heroes Gotham deserves and the heroes Gotham needs. And if the citizens of this city need advice on what new movies to see, they also have the Film Studies podcast.
Gadzooks, Batman. Where can they find these podcasts?
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere your favorite podcasts are streamed.
Thank you, Batman. You are... I hate it when he does that.
Well, guys, I'm totally buzzing after hearing how Chris and Jonas are just describing the Weekenders. That was just really amazing. But they're not the only voices we heard from. You know how I love my speak pipes here. A lot of people sent in speak pipes. I think we got one right here. Who's this one from, Gasper?
So the one kicking off is going to be Rob from Scotland, and he actually answered our previous episode about Craig's new record and kind of set up the Weekenders nicely. So let's hear what Rob had to say.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hi guys, this is Rob from a very, very stormy Aberdeen in North East Scotland. Just to say I'm loving the up-tempo new track from Craig after a couple of albums I personally find very difficult to listen to. Roll on the Weekender.
All right.
Thank you, Rob.
Rob segued us right into we believe our next episode is going to be covering Craig's new album. So he segued us greatly into that one.
Right. Looking forward to that, man. All right. And next up is Paulina from Cambria.
Hi, this is Paulina from Cumbria, currently recovering from the Weekender. The best time. It was so good. I'm getting all emotional about the memories we've made this weekend and seeing the Hold Steady 3 times. It was the first time I made it. So I've known the Hold Steady for about 5 or 6 years, but there's only the first Weekenders that I was able to attend. So a vast amount of highlights. I could mention the songs like Yeah, Sapphire, Most People Are DJs, Adderall, Cattle and Creeping Things, but really what's most lingering is the feeling of being in amongst the crowd of the people who love this band just as hard, who show up with all their energy and passion. It was just so beautiful. The camaraderie and, overpowering, really. I kept feeling like my actual face was on fire from the excitement and so many friendly vibes. And to top it all up, the beautiful, rare early spring weather. It was incredible. So, it was my first Weekenders, but it will not be the last. I will see you all again. And thanks to you guys at the podcast for getting me even more hyped than I already was. Lovely episodes about the previous Weekenders and massive nights. It really is lovely. Thank you.
What a lovely thing to say.
I mean, that was awesome. A shout out for us. And really, there's a lot to unpack in that one speak pipe. First off, she said she's a newer fan, 5 or 6 years, which for, is cool to hear that the band, even, 20 years in, is finding these new fans. And sounds like this was her first time getting to see them because, they don't tour like normal bands. And if you don't get to a Weekender, you don't really get an opportunity to catch the Hold Steady live. So sounds like she really enjoyed it, and she gets bonus points from us because we helped her get ready. So the fact that we made her experience even better, Paulina, thank you for that. Excellent.
Yeah, thanks a lot. All right, next up we have Claire from Ireland.
This was my first Weekender this year after being introduced to the Hold Steady last summer. And it was such a fun experience just to be around so many people who are not afraid to really show how into something they are and not afraid to really nerd out over it and completely enjoy something. And just to be able to dance with everyone and scream the lyrics at everyone along with everyone is such an incredible experience. And one of the most fun weekends of my life.
Wow, Claire. I love hearing that Irish voice. You know, this episode's coming out the week of, if not on St. Patrick's Day. So that was great.
The other cool thing, too, is kind of going back to Paulina, another new fan. I mean, she only said that she discovered the band last year, and so this was her first time seeing them. And one of the things I think we can all agree on and is the sense of unity when you walk into a Hold Steady show, whether it's your first show or your 100th show. Like, if it's such an experience, it's so overwhelming, and it really is, you know, I'd even seen a post in the group, which we can talk about. Somebody asked about, after the first Weekender show, about when to throw confetti, because I don't know if you saw that in the positive posting group, but they threw it at the wrong spot. And all of the people that did know where it was like, here, this is when you do it. This is the line. And like, it was a very cool, welcoming thing of, you know, it's for everybody. It's one of the few bands where they're not gatekeepers in as much as other bands and fan bases can be. And it's nice to hear Claire and both Claire and Paulina talk about that experience for them, because we've had it, so we don't get to have it again. So it's fun to hear other people talk about it, at least for me.
Yeah, totally. And Claire, we have a poster heading your way. Actually, Paulina reached out to us. She's friends with Hurricane Jess. They were discussing the poster and asked if we could send one your way. So look for that in the mail. That'll be coming on its way to you soon. Before we were done with the speak pipes, I wanted to send a big shout out to Beth from Vermont. She actually did some field reporting for us after the last show, and we put together this segment called Beth's Perfect Day. So check this out.
Hi, Mike. This is Beth from Vermont. I'm here with...
Hey, it's Chris from Richmond.
Ow. It's Kat. We're just reporting in at the bar with a bunch of dudes from the Netherlands to tell you we attended the best Hold Steady show of all time tonight. And I just wanted to blow Mike's mind by calling in the speak pipe.
And then later, when it gets dark...
Best Hold Steady show of all time? Surely. Sorry, Davey,
Just a perfect day.
So I'm Diogo, coming almost every year from the Netherlands, but born in Portugal. This was, I think, my 12th show, maybe 11th, I don't know, I can't keep track anymore. And I'm pretty sure this was the best show from the whole city I've seen. All of them in London, but this one, like, it's not that I'm a biggest fan of the record they just played in its entirety, but just the energy in the room was absolutely insane. Even the rest of the set list after the entire album was played was absolutely insane. And the atmosphere, at least around me, it was like kind of like the friendly friends kind of thing. I was hanging out around people that I haven't seen before, and we're like hugging and all of that, which happened before in other shows, in other shows that I've been to, but this one especially, I think that people were in such high spirits.
Weekenders on our own, it's such fun.
So I'm Kristen, I'm from Vermont, and I got dragged here by two cult members, and this is my very first show weekender ever. I barely listened to the Hold Steady before this because I wanted to experience it fresh and new, and it was delightful, and I have never seen so much joy in a concert, so many guys giving each other positive, lovey hugs, and it was making me cry the whole time. So it was great.
It's such a perfect day. I'm glad I spent it with you. Oh, such a perfect day. You just keep me hanging on. You just keep me hanging on.
Hey, yeah, it's Bouke here from the Netherlands, and I'm very appreciative of the Weekender this year. And we found a pub in the Metropole of London after 11. It is still open on a Sunday, so cheers to that, and cheers to all the Weekenders.
This is Renee from the Netherlands, and I just want to say, for the record, this is not a cult.
Hi,
Hi, my name is Esmee. I'm from the Netherlands, and this weekend were my first whole steady shows. And like Friday was like, okay, I like this band. I knew that because I knew the music, but not that well. And I thought, okay, it's a good show. And then Saturday I was like, okay, they're really getting a grip on me. And tonight they really sucked me in. I loved it so much.
Keep me hanging on. You just keep me hanging on.
Wow, I'm flabbergasted. They all, hearing all those Dutch Netherlands, they all sound like tall, beautiful people with their voices there. and just because of I'm just going to wear blaze orange for the next whole World Cup, just in honor of them. And Gasper doesn't understand sports, so he doesn't get that reference, but
not at all.
Not at all.
But thank you very
want to
much.
look like a safety cone if you want to wear orange.
Yeah.
But thank you very much, Beth, for putting that together. That was very, very cool.
Yeah, and I almost feel sorry. I kind of shot Beth astray over on the 70s versus 80s podcast but really I just wanted to hear the song Beth by Kiss. So Beth, what can I do? Oh, Beth, what can I do? But no, that was great. That was just amazing. So yeah.
It was great. And you know what? I for Kristen, who was her first time, who got dragged not just like to another state, she got dragged to another country to go see her first Hold Steady show. Yeah, I could see you would think it would be a bit of a cult, when you put it that way. So I will give Kristen bonus points for calling it what it is, the cult of the Hold Steady.
All right. Well, thank you everyone who called in. That was really great.
And for everybody who doesn't know, this might be the most used our speak pipe has been in one episode ever. And Mike is the most joyful he's ever been in any episode. He's glowing. The amount of speak pipe glow coming out of his skin, it's like he went for a speak pipe facial, and now he's just got a new glow. So thank you all for using the speak pipe, and feel free to keep using it, as he will tell you in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we started this podcast to be a voice for the unified scene, so we need to hear your voices. So we really appreciate it. It's great.
Located between the Hall of Justice and the Brady Bunch House is the worldwide headquarters of the 70s versus the 80s podcast, where they tackle such controversial subjects as:
if you spill Zima on your Zubas, does it even leave a stain?
Which Cher husband had the better Love Boat appearance? What these guys say may shock you.
In your high school yearbook, does your hair even fit in the photo frame? So, Brian, where can you play this podcast?
It's on his phone, Mike.
Okay, so blast this sucker on your flip phone.
No, doesn't work that way. Listen to the 70s versus the 80s podcast, God willing.
All right, it's been a little while since we've done this segment, but I want to bring us back to Meatloaf to the Billy Joel.
To the summer smoke and the meatloaf to the Billy Joel. Certain songs, they get so scratched into our souls.
So during the Weekenders at the in the Positive Posting group on Facebook, Tim Rothbowman from York, England, posted talking a little bit about the Weekenders, and he brought up that he's got his own band and asked for people to check it out. And so we did. And his band is Deathlounge, and they're pretty good. We want to have you check them out a little bit. So this is Ocean Drain, which is the first track off of their 4-song EP.
Searching for shiny stones, and I will be there with you as long
What do you guys think of this, guys?
For me, it was hard to believe it was their first 4 songs. It sounded a lot more mature to me. It sounded like they've been making records for years. They seemed, the production level was great, and I thought it was a fresh new take. And then I thought I recognized his voice, and then Gasper, I think you said who he sounded like.
Yeah, so not so much on that track, but on the next one I'm going to play eventually, I'm hearing Connor Oberst. So let's check that out.
Kind of an English Connor Oberst, yeah.
Go.
Kicking beneath, 'cause I am dynamite disguised as a candle, and I'll burn out so easily. Eventually, yeah. I'll line my pockets with pebbles, backstroke into the sea, but eventually, I'll catch you up with me.
I just think it's really cool that the scene is like producing bands that like I could get into this, man. This is like, you know, so like the kids at the shows and now have bands of their own. Kev, what do you think?
I mean, it's cool. It's got some of it that reminds me a little bit of Rise Against-ish. Like, it's got that sort of, you know, punk vibe. I think it's really cool. And again, as somebody who hears a lot of music, I think something that Mike brought up was a good point. It sounds pretty polished. I don't know how long they've been a band. I don't know how long they've been writing songs, but they're definitely hooking. That bass intro on that last bit was definitely, you know, throwback to some of the biggest songs, whether it's Megadeth or, you know, Queen. Like, there's so many great songs that start with just a cool bass riff, and that one on this one was kind of cool between the distorted sound. So yeah, I kind of dug it. I can't tell if it's more. I think that tune particularly was more Billy Joel than Meatloaf. So yes, I felt more pressure than Bat Out of Hell to me.
Well, usually when we do this, we like to know more about the band, and I wish I did have more information on them, but we definitely do think you should check them out. We're going to put their link on our show notes. You could, the name of the band is Deathlounge, and you can catch them on Spotify and Apple Music. And I'm just going to play you one more. This is Stranger in My House.
Walking on hallowed floors, using a different set of keys to unlock the same front door. They'll never know all that I hadn't lost. Up the stairs in a room to the right, on the second floor. And how was I to know as I said goodbye? Latched the door for the last time and took a long glance at the mockingbirds.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us this episode. Once again, another great time. Thanks again to Jonas and Chris for their recap. Thanks to everybody that called into the Speak Pipes and all of the great recaps. I mean, it feels like we might have missed the best Hold Steady show ever, or at least until the next one we all get to see. But we can let them hold that little trophy for at least the next couple of weeks. But that's going to do it for us. So thank you all for giving a listen. We really do appreciate it. We wouldn't have this show if it wasn't for you guys listening. So thanks. And we really do appreciate it. We see the numbers grow. Thanks for telling your friends. Thanks for tuning in. Really, we couldn't do this without you. So from all of us here, thank you. And Gasper, why don't you tell them where they can find us if they do want to give us a like or a follow someplace?
Yeah, so if you want to check us out on our socials, if you're looking for past episodes, or really anything Hoodrat Recap, the best jumping off point is our link tree, which is linktr.ee/the Hoodrat Recap. And if they wanted to leave a speak pipe for us and keep this trend going and keep Mike happy, Mike, where can they do that?
Yeah, they can find that on the link tree that you just talked about, or I'm going to put a direct link right on the show notes here. Leave us some speak pipes. Next episode, I think we're going to be reviewing Craig's new album. So let us know what you think of the 2 songs that are out right now, or anything you want to talk about. Misheard lyrics you have, if your white whales that we were talking about a long time ago, anything. Just let us know where we made mistakes. We love to hear that. But we never make mistakes. But just kidding.
All right, so that's going to do it for us. I'm Gasper. That's Mike. That's Kevin. And that was Chris and Jonas and Paulina and Claire and Beth and all you folks, us guys, and all you folks out there. We are all the Hoodrat Recap.
Killer party songs.
Before we do go, we wanted to give Andrew Talbot the last word because I think this sums it up the best.
So here we are, some hours later, but I think that was a really good gig tonight. It was so good. Anyone who was there, anyone's going to Minneapolis, I hope they do it again. But that was another level. And what a moment to be there. I love that band.
Gasper, you said you didn't go to the Weekenders, you liar. That was you after every show we go to.
It's Drunk Gasper.
Drunk Gasper. He said it to Andrew Talbot, but that's his nickname. When he's a witness protection, if you look up the King of Queens, it's Andrew Talbot. Name Gasper. Yeah, you sound like that after every gig we go to.